Once, two beautiful apple and pear trees stood proudly in my backyard. Now only jagged stumps remained. Beside them, holding pruning shears like a trophy, stood Patricia Hawthorne, our smug HOA president. "Finally got around to that beautification order," she said, brushing sawdust from her blazer like a job well done. "Those eyesores were lowering property values." My stomach dropped. Those weren't just trees. My mother and I had planted them 15 years ago, months before she passed from cancer. Every spring blossom, every fall harvest, those trees made her feel alive again. For the past year, Patricia's HOA had sent vague notices about non-conforming vegetation, never once naming the trees. I thought it was about my mailbox color or lawn gnome, not this. "You had no right," I said through clenched teeth. "They were on my property. You needed permission." "Actually," Patricia smiled, "Section 12.4 of our bylaws allows us to remove any vegetation extending more than 6 feet past property lines. Look," she pulled up a grainy photo on her phone. 7 feet. I'm measured." But both trees were at least 10 feet from any boundary. She was lying, and she knew it. That's when I noticed the robins. A whole family circled above the stumps, chirping frantically, searching for their destroyed nest. Squirrels darted across my fence, lost without the branches they used to travel. My grief turned to fury. I spent the weekend gathering evidence. Photos, measurements, and security footage from a neighbor's camera showing Patricia ordering the removal at 6 a.m. while I was at work. At the HOA board meeting, I presented everything. She destroyed private property without consent. That's not maintenance, that's vandalism. The HOA didn't care. They said she was within her rights. But then I remembered something Eleanor, my elderly neighbor and a retired environmental lawyer, once mentioned. Our neighborhood was part of a state-protected wildlife corridor. I started digging. What I found changed everything. Our subdivision sat on a migratory path protected by the California Department of Fish and Wildlife. Cutting down mature, fruit-bearing trees, especially those supporting birds, required permits and environmental assessments. Patricia had violated state law. I filed a formal complaint. I included everything: photos, footage, her texts, and evidence from citizen science projects showing my trees were registered wildlife habitats. I also looped in local media. Within days, state investigators arrived. They took samples, interviewed neighbors, and confirmed the trees were nesting grounds for protected bird species. Eleanor's birdwatching logs sealed it. Then came the hammer. The HOA was cited for habitat destruction. Patricia's name was on the work order, not as HOA president, but as a private citizen. She'd paid out of pocket, then tried to disguise it as board-approved. Her lie turned an HOA issue into a criminal investigation. She was charged. The fines began at $10,000, with $5,000 added for every displaced species. 6 species in total. Patricia tried to blame the tree service until they produced emails where she claimed to have all required permits. Her own lawyer dropped her. At the emergency HOA meeting, the room was full. Neighbors had stories. She'd fined a veteran for flying a flag, forced a family to remove a wheelchair ramp, and banned kids from playing outside after 4 p.m. The vote to remove her was unanimous. But her downfall wasn't over. In court, the judge laid it out. You abused perceived authority to destroy protected habitat, and you tried to cover it up. Patricia was sentenced to 30 days in county jail, served on weekends, 2 years of probation, $25,000 in fines, 200 hours of community service, and mandatory environmental classes. The HOA also had to replant native trees and commit to 10 years of maintenance at a cost of $30,000. Patricia lost her job, her standing, and her freedom, all over 2 trees she couldn't bear to see bloom. As I left the courtroom, I looked back one last time. Her face was pale, her smile gone, and I thought of my mother and those trees, living on in memory and justice.